A contract is nothing more than a legally enforceable promise. In other words, it's a promise or an agreement between two parties or more, and it's legally enforceable. The reason this is important and the reason it's become sort of a bedrock of our society is because it helps us to exchange goods and services efficiently. If you have to know or believe that the person that you are selling something to is going to pay at some point in the future, and you get that agreement by contract. When people rent my storages from me, in order to protect myself from them not paying me, we sign a contract that says if they don't pay me, I can sell their goods. And so that contract protects me. It also protects them because it spells out the responsibilities I will have as the business owner. Also, contracts reduce the cost of transactions because we don't have to negotiate a bunch of rules all the time. If the contract is written and we both agree to it, then we can sign it. Again, in my storage business, I don't have to rehash the rules with each customer. Instead, I have a pre-existing contract and they can agree to it. Is a customer free to say, I don't like one of the items on your contract and I would like to renegotiate the contract with you? Sure they are, but almost nobody does, which means 99% of the time, having the contract makes it cheaper because we don't have to renegotiate and spend the time and effort to do that each time. And finally, contracts are important because they let us know what problems have happened in the past. For example, on my contract at my business, based on an experience that happened in our community several years ago, I forbid the storing of animal and human remains in our storage units. This is something I never would have thought of until one of the operators in our area actually had found some human remains and had to go through quite a lengthy process with the police and with the courts to track down the person who left them there and find out what was going on with that. That's a pretty gruesome example, but it's an example of how by contract we can avoid that happening again, or at least we can't promise it won't happen, because if someone's going to leave a body in a storage unit, they probably don't care too much about what's on the contract. But it allows us to agree upon that up front, and that minimizes problems. So all of these reasons together mean that contract law is an incredibly important part of our business legal environment. If you own a business or if you manage a business, you will have to deal with contracts, and you will have to be able to explain to customers what's in them and understand when you have to negotiate and when you may have to actually sue or adjudicate those contracts to exercise them when necessary.